Sveno Mick here. As you've probably seen from the other video that there's only been a few views on, probably going to wipe it out if I'm a real good one. A couple of things and quickly. Today in Australia is Are You OK Day. Now, that probably doesn't make a lot of sense to a lot of people who don't live in Australia, but Are You OK is, are you struggling with your mental health? Are things going all right? What you're supposed to say. I worked for Sunshine Coast Council for many years, and probably the last 5 years of being there, been gone from there heading for 3 years now, 2.5 years or whatever it is, heading for three in end of January next year. What it is mental health, and government dotting the I's and crossing the T's. They'd bring in a coffee van and someone would give a bit of a talk from outside the parameters of the, not the parameters, outside of the inner circle of the council as in being an employee. So they had a few talkers in there and give you a cup of coffee. Bosses would ask you if you're okay. I mean, that's all well and good. I mean, you could have psychologist visits if you wanted to. I never did. My psychology visits are private with my private psychologist, which I haven't been to for probably a few months after I left the council, maybe 6 months after I left the council, and haven't been back since. I've had a few anxiety attacks. Yeah, do I struggle with mental health? Of course. Everyone struggles with mental health. It's just the different levels that you get. What pressures you put under, how you handle pressure. The list can go on. I could talk about mental health till the cows come home. And that'd be generally 3 or 4 o'clock this afternoon, so we're 11:15 now. But I can just talk at length on it because I've read that much about it. I've got it. I have plenty of workmates and plenty of friends that have suffered with it. Mine's anxiety, mine's not depression. Whether it's tied in together, I don't know, it doesn't matter. I can only tell you from my point of view. But also, forgetting about that, skin cancer. Well, I've been probably, I would say first incisions, so first cuttings would be 15 years ago. 15 plus is my latest one on there on the left shoulder, and there's another one to go off my back. Now that one was apparently probably just an cyst sac, but it's away getting tested at the moment. So then I've got this one is away getting tested at the moment. That's actually been cut out. This one was a biopsy. This one was a biopsy. So that there, and the lady I go to, Mignonette, down at Landsborough Skin Care Clinic. That's what she's done for 35 years, and that's what she knows. And she said, I'd say that one will be definite. And that one there's got a lump's come up in it and it's got a black dot in the gut, so who knows with that one. But she said, I'm pretty confident that one will be probably a squamous cell carcinoma. Now, people that aren't informed with skin cancers, Australia is the skin cancer capital of the world. How would you be? How would you be? We've got a lot of good things going on here, and that ain't one of them. So we have the Tropic of Cancer, I think it is, or Tropic of Capricorn Cancer. Anyhow, it runs through Australia. So, it's the Tropic of, anyhow, the one that runs through Australia, which is through Rocky, and that's Capricorn, I think. So what happens is that we're fairly close to the equator, I think. And there's ozone layer problems, I think, over Australia, massive ozone depletion, or like a big window over Australia. But talking to my skin doctor yesterday, she just said, well, because I was talking to him, I said, Mignonette, I said, I've 50 plus rated shirts, long pants, double thickness hats, gloves, boots, you name it, scarf around my neck in summer that you cool down with water and it cools down. You name it, I've tried it. So anyhow, It's my son, our son, and that's me. That's grandson, my son, sorry, and that's our grandson now. Damien's now 41, and Zach Martin is just about to turn 16. That's my wife Carl's, and her little nephew. There's Damien as a little boy, who's now 41. And there's Zach a few years ago. So everyone's grown up and grown older. Anyhow, so getting back to it, I've covered up. I've worked outside in the harshness of the sun, the harshness of the Queensland summers and winters, and here it gets that hot. It gets up to, you can get up to 40, low 40s. It can just go weeks on end in summer of mid to high 30s. The humidity is high, very high. It gets bloody hot, and within 5 minutes of work, and I remember one day when I was working for Telstra, the communications company in Australia, we only had one main phone company. We had one phone company, that was Telstra. Telecom when I started there in 1990, and Telstra when I left. It was now Optus and Vodafone and Virgin and this and that and everything else. But I can still remember working and fitting conduit in a manhole, and we were busting out the end of the manhole to put, and I say manhole because I've personally never ever seen a female working in a manhole. I'm not saying they don't, but in my days of the 7 or 8 years I was on Telstra, I never saw it. But I just knew them as manholes, and I'm old school. So what I was going to say is, by 7:15, we started work at about probably 10 to 7 in the morning, 7 o'clock start. By 7:15, I was completely wringing sweat from head to toe. And in summer, you will do that all day here. And worse at Rocky, very bad at Rockhampton, very bad in Mackay the further north you go. And the humidity, even like down here in South East Queensland in summer, it just cooks you. But I've got to work with all that gear, and I'm sort of probably getting to the point where I just probably can't do that for much longer. And with all these skin issues, I definitely can't. So anyhow, getting back to it. So what I do, mine is the bad ones I've been dealing with. There's 3 types. You've got your melanoma, which is your worst. You got your squamous cell carcinoma. They're the ones I'm dealing with. And then you have your basal cell carcinoma. Now they're the slowest travelling, the less intrusive. They can kill you. Don't worry about that. One of my bosses in the council, he had a basal cell carcinoma here, big as probably that round, and they had to fold his whole face back. And I mean, we're men, we don't really care what we look like, but it wasn't a pretty sight before, and it's really not a pretty sight after it. But anyhow, that's another story. And there's plenty of people like that. Where I go to this skin clinic, she'll say, "Oh, well, Mick, it's not that bad. You're in every 3 months, and it's looking like we're going to be cutting. There's going to be probably a bit of cutting going on every 3 months now, because it has been. So there's been 4, 5, 6 bits of cutting in the last 6 months, and 3 of them being squamous cell carcinomas. Now, the squamous cell carcinoma, it can pop up. That one there, that popped up. Was not there 3 months ago. That popped up about 2 months ago. So it's been a month since me getting it. So what I've got to do now is when they pop up, I've probably just got to go in and get them done there and then, because I'm pretty confident in saying with the feel of that is I know what it is. It'll be a squamous most likely. And you don't want them out in there, because what happens is squamous cell carcinoma, they're just like tentacles, and they're very fast acting, and poof, they just go. And once you get them things, once they get into the blood system, you've got major trouble. So it's about keeping them out of the blood system, because it is the skin. It's not the muscle, it's in the skin. You can have a look at any of the skin cancer stuff online. It'll tell you, and it'll go in depth. So it's a squamous. They're squamous. All the ones I've dealt with lately are squamous cell carcinomas. And the worst one are the melanomas. Now, I personally know a few people who've died from melanoma, and I know plenty of people who had melanomas cut out, like heaps. One of my good little mates, Trigger, that you see me mention a lot, as my old XR400, He had a pretty aggressive melanoma cut out of his back, and that's probably 5 years ago. He got it quick because he's on it, and my wife checks my back and looks at me regularly. Like I can feel the things. That's skin whatevers. So what people say, oh, just use that, use the black salve or use the carcinoma. That's the go. Well, actually, it's not. I'm not saying it doesn't work well, but I was talking to not my skin doctor, but a doctor the other day that I do work for in my business. She was she was out west working, and she was working on a young red-headed fellow come in, and he'd been using black salve or carcinoma off a station, big property that is in Australia. It's 30, 40, 50,000 acres. There's plenty of them up there. This is in Queensland. They're massive, and they're bigger than a lot of countries in Europe. Just one property. And you don't get into town as often, and your chances of just clicking in and getting a skin doctor to be able to do it just there and then, it just doesn't happen here because it's massive distances. That person could be 700 kilometres from where their doctor is. Now, I'm very proactive because that's just how I've always been with everything. Proactive service of my machines, proactive learning as much as I can, proactive about looking after myself, proactive about prostate cancer, proactive about blood pressure, proactive. That's me. It's my nature. So when I get going into it, it's on like Donkey Kong, and I just don't back off, and that's my nature. It's a mind continuously working, I suppose. Now, whether that's a good thing or a bad, but my mind works overtime. I can have 3 or 4 or 10 things coming into my mind at any one time, and as in, that's just the way I am. And I can look at a car going past, but I probably don't look at that car like someone else. I'll look at that car like there's water circulating through the radiator, there's the fan spinning, there's ignition, there's spark plugs firing, there's intake, there's exhausting. It's spinning a clutch or an automatic transmission. We'll say a clutch, which is spinning gears in a gearbox, which is spinning a tail shaft, spinning a differential, blah, blah, blah. That's how my mind works. So it's just how I am. So that's the proactive thing, and want to know what's going on, of how things go. And it's a problem because I can lay in bed and I can't go to sleep. And I can be laying there at 1 o'clock in the morning and can't go to sleep because I'll have 1,000 things running through my head. But anyway, that's the mental health thing, I suppose, too. That's the way it is. So I don't get too bogged down in that, and I don't tell them that. I don't actually go on about that much. It's the way it is. But you'll see me with talking about machines, and it's a big passion to me. And that's how I am with my body, trying to keep it as good as I can to a degree. I don't do a lot of exercise, which I've probably got to cook into a bit because my guts is starting to look like a poisoned pup. But this is what we've got when we've got white skin, and we're living in an environment where it's not conducive to white skin at all. My background my ancestry is German, Viking. German is in Vogel, that's my mum's maiden name, and Svensson is Swedish. That's Svensson with a V, not a W, S-V-E-N-S-O-N. And also a Viking background, and I don't want to meet Valhalla sooner than I have to. I don't want to go to Valhalla. And I got a mate that I work with in the council, Marcus, great bloke. He's a big Viking, and he looks like a big Viking, big beard, and he's got Viking sandy coloured hair, sandy coloured beard, talk fluent Finnish. He's a Viking. Not like that. That doesn't matter. They're tapping fingers, and I'm going to leave it at that. So I always just say with anyone, just get out and get your skin checked. We are little whiteys at the end of the day, whether we like to admit it or not, and anyone can get skin cancers. But me, of having auburn hair when I was a young fella and I had hair, and white skin, as you can see, freckles up there, not freckly blood nut carrot, but I've got freckles under here, and that a lot of them now are just skin, whatever you want to call them. Like I say, they go over a square millimetre of me with a fine tooth comb, and all these problems are coming out. So what I say is, don't worry about your tan. Even if you tan, keep your long sleeves on, keep your collar turned up, keep your whatever, if you like putting sunburn creams on. I don't particularly like sunburn creams, but I have massive, massive hat that I pull down over my head, which is double thickness, and I put earmuffs on so they cover my ears because I don't want to end up, my ears are actually half reasonable and I don't want to end up like chop a reed before he passed away. I like having my ears, but it'd still be, I'd rather lose an ear than this thing here. That's the thing you never want to lose, is the nose, because not much coming back from there. But look, I'm going to leave it at that. That's 15 minutes and 20 seconds, and I'm going to download this. And I just say, keep getting your skin checked and don't fart around, because I can tell you now, if you have melanoma or you have squamous cell carcinoma or you have basal cell carcinoma, if it gets in the system and you've got Jack Dancer running through your veins, through your bloods, mate, she's a struggle from there. So I'll double thumbs up on that Friday there, because I can't work because of this thing on my back. There's going to be more stuff cut out next week. I've got rain out here today anyhow. And I'm just going to download this, and just remember, it's not bad living. I love waking up in the morning, so I'll be planning on waking up for a bloody long time yet. You're going to have to listen to Sveno Mick's dribble, and that's just the way it is. Sveno Mick out. Have a lovely day.